Why it's hard to get an expensive autism diagnosis. Good morning, everyone. Imagine finally realizing that challenges you faced your whole life, struggling with social interaction, sensory overload, or executive functioning, might be explained by something concrete: autism. The relief that comes with understanding yourself, your brain, and your needs can be life-changing, but for many, reaching that understanding isn't easy. In fact, it can be painfully expensive and frustrating. Today I want to talk about why it's so hard to get a proper, costly autism diagnosis, and why this matters not just for individuals but for society as a whole. First, let's talk about the financial barriers. A comprehensive autism evaluation is not a quick visit. It often includes multiple sessions with a clinical psychologist, developmental pediatrician, or neurologist, as well as interviews with family members, behavioral assessments, and sometimes additional testing for co-occurring conditions like ADHD or anxiety. Each of these appointments can cost hundreds, even thousands of dollars. For someone without insurance covered or with limited coverage, this can be prohibitive. Many people delay or forego testing entirely because the cost simply isn't realistic. And unlike some medical treatments, a diagnosis itself doesn't have a cheaper version. A thorough evaluation is inherently time and expertise intensive. Second, access is a huge problem. There are relatively few professionals trained to diagnose autism in adults, and even pediatric services can have long wait lists. In many cities, you might wait 6 months to a year or more just to get an appointment. During that time, your struggles continue at work, at school, at work, or in relationships, without the guidance or accommodations that a diagnosis could provide. Additionally, not every clinician accepts insurance, and those who do may not cover the full scope of testing. So even with insurance, families often face out-of-pocket costs of thousands of dollars. Third, there's the issue of recognition and misdiagnosis. Autism in adults, especially those who are high-functioning or neurodivergent in subtle ways, can be misinterpreted as anxiety, depression, OCD, or social awkwardness. Clinicians may need to spend additional time distinguishing between these conditions, which increases both cost and complexity. Some people even get multiple diagnoses before a correct autism evaluation. Any money and time are spent on the wrong treatments. Fourth, there are systemic inequities. People from marginalized communities, low-income families, people of color, LGBTQ+ individuals often face additional barriers. There may be fewer clinicians in their area who understand autism, or biases that lead to underdiagnosis. Costs that are already high can become impossible to manage, and many never receive a diagnosis at all. So why does this matter? A diagnosis is more than a label. It provides access to accommodations, therapies, and community support. It helps people understand themselves, improves their quality of life, and advocate for their needs. And financial, logistical, and systemic barriers prevent someone from obtaining a diagnosis. We aren't just talking about paperwork or money, we're talking about real human potential being blocked. In conclusion, getting an autism diagnosis is not just medically complex, it's financially, logistically, and socially challenging. Expensive evaluations, limited access to trained clinicians, and misdiagnosis and systemic inequities all combine to make this a difficult journey for many. Addressing these barriers requires policy changes, better insurance cover, and broader awareness, so that understanding oneself doesn't become a privilege for those who can afford it. Because at the end of the day, understanding your own mind shouldn't be a luxury, it should be a right. Thank you. My therapist for years thought that I have Asperger's autism, but I haven't been able to financially afford to get a diagnosis, and I haven't been able to find any testing centers for autism that take my insurance. So I haven't been able to find someone who covers covers autism testing with my insurance. Thanks. Bye.